Lord, and welcome to another live broadcast of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. I'm Dr. Stephen L. Pettis, and as always, those of you, if you desire prayer at this time, you can give us a call as the phone number appears across the screen. We have our Better Life prayer warriors who are just waiting to touch and agree and believe God for your miracle and for your breakthrough. And those of you, if this is the first time you're viewing us, God bless you. And since this is Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family, as you can see, if you would like to ask us a question, you can fill the information out, and hopefully before the broadcast is over, we'll give you the answer. And those of you, if you're viewing by way of television, amen, also feel free to write us. And perhaps on the next broadcast, we'll be able to answer your question. So as always, let's welcome this national and international audience. Well, as always, since this is Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family, welcome, Pastor Laurel. I don't know exactly how long we've been doing this. It's been some years. As a matter of fact, we actually, really, if we want to go back further than the birth of this particular ministry of marriage and family, we began teaching the singles and having singles and marriage seminars back in 1997.
Oh, amen. Amen.
So we've been officially doing this publicly for 20 years.
Amen.
Isn't that wonderful?
Amen.
Amen. So I guess after 20 years and nearly 34 years of marriage, we got something to say, right? Well, before we get into the lesson tonight, we got some announcements. All righty, let's see. All right, coming up very soon, Saturday, August the 12th, 2017, Stephen Pettis Ministries presents That's a Wrap 2.0.
Amen.
This is a Q&A, question and answer forum that's geared to help you plan your success. And we're calling it 2.0 because we did it last year.
Amen.
And last year was wonderful, and we've got to do it again.
Amen.
And you know, that's a wrap. The acronyms for WRAP is, the Lord gave me this a couple years ago, winning with real, authentic principles.
Amen. Amen.
Winning with real, authentic principles.
Amen.
And we say that, you know, this is really how we live our life, by biblical principles. So that's going to be August the 12th, 2017 on Saturday. Starts at 12 o'clock. It's going to be held at the Lawndale Christian Health Center. That's a beautiful place.
Amen.
You know, really, I thank God that they did a lot of work in the Lawndale area.
Yeah.
You and I are both from the west side of Chicago.
Amen.
And so I'm happy that all of the work they're doing in the Lawndale area. That address is 3750 West Ogden on the 4th floor. So those of you viewing, you got all of the information, and hopefully you have registered, because if you register, you've got a chance, I believe, to win an Amazon gift card, I believe that is. Gift card, I think, from Target also, I think, and a gas card. That's a $75 value.
Amen.
That sounds pretty good to me. Put some gas in my car, right? In your car. So the information is across the screen. I believe it's text level up, because that's what we're going to be talking about. Text level up to the numbers 313131. So you can't miss that. Level up 313131. And we're looking forward to that. You know, it's when we're talking about your success, it's not just from a business standpoint, but the Lord has really graced me, and I give him all the credit. I'm at a stage in my life where I'm here to give answers. You know, and anyone who knows me is kind of like, listen, if you want answers, don't waste my time with no foolishness. But if you want answers about life, the Lord has really graced me to do that. to give answers. So we're going to be there helping, not just for business, but just succeeding, whether it's a person in their health, whether it's in their ministry. There's some things, we're just going to talk about a lot of things. So we're really, really looking forward to it. It's free. Also, too, at 12 noon, there's going to be a fruit spritzer networking social.
Amen.
Now, really, networking we know is very key, because networking is really key to your success, because you never know who has your answer.
Amen.
Some things that you could be struggling on and not sure about, but when you begin to network and talk to people, sometimes it's just that one thing you could be missing that's stopping or prohibiting you from reaching that next level. So it's going to be a fun time. August the 12th, that's a wrap 2.0. Amen. Then also, too, on Sunday, August 27th, we're going to be at Greater Progressive Church with my spiritual son, Dr. Eric Brown, as they're going to be celebrating their church anniversary. That Sunday, August 27th at 3:30 p.m. I'm going to be the speaker there. And once again, we're still in the Lawndale area, because the address there is 1625 South Lawndale.
Amen.
So those of you viewing in the Chicagoland area, meet me out August 12th on Saturday, or meet me out on Sunday, August 27th.
Amen.
Amen. All right, well, we can kind of get in on tonight's lesson. As always, we do a little introduction before we begin the open Q&A. Now, I was kind of going over a couple things earlier today, and most everyone know that on Wednesdays of Better Life Lessons, I've been teaching on faith. Yes. It's been our summer faith refresher. But then on Sundays, I've been teaching on your purpose, God's plan, the process, and the finish. So tonight, for probably the next 10 minutes or so, what I kind of want to do is kind of touching both of those areas and combine it with the family. In other words, how important is it, or really does it really matter that a family has purpose? Or does it really matter that a family has faith? Now, obviously, the quickest and the easiest answer is, it is important. Because we know if it's important for an individual to have purpose or an individual to have faith, it's equally important, if not more so, for a family to have purpose and for a family to have faith. So now, if God has a purpose for every life, wouldn't those purposes coincide with the purpose of that family?
Let me ask you a question, Pastor.
Sure.
How old do you have to be as a child to begin teaching your child about faith?
Well, you know what? You should begin teaching your child about faith as soon as they have some type of understanding. And I don't mean about faith. Once they understand or know how to kind of communicate, put it that way. They don't have to know how to talk exactly from A to Z. But when your child has reached some level of comprehension. I can't pinpoint that age. I've seen some do it before 1 year old.
At 4 years old?
Well, I'm going before 4 years old, because most children have a level of comprehension around 2-ish. And some I've seen even before then. So once that child, I think, has some level of comprehension, what I mean by comprehension, of they know what it means to stop, don't do that, to obey, or to be quiet, or eat, that's comprehension. And once they have that, then you can somehow begin, even if they don't understand it, just start putting that in them.
Would it be good to say that, like around holiday season or birthday season, to tell the kids start believing God, using their faith for certain presents that they want from God?
Well, sure. You could really incorporate that in that every day. First of all, you should be teaching your children, when they're at that level of comprehension, how to pray. Just simple words. Like I said, we're not saying they know everything, but just start. Really, when you're teaching your child how to talk, there should be some biblical language in there too. Other than just teaching them A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3. You should be teaching them how to say Jesus, Holy Ghost, biblical terms, biblical words,
So the earliest could be, is that 2 or 3 years old?
Well, like I said, it really depends because depending on that child, on when they start learning to comprehend, but generally if it's around that age, 2-ish or 3-ish, absolutely. We'll start teaching them, it doesn't even have to go into holidays, just every day. Let's believe God for this breakfast. Let's believe God for this lunch. Let's believe God for this Big Mac. I'm not advocating Big Macs, but I'm just making a point. So it can even start like that. And then, of course, it can spill over into gifts, especially around holiday time, Christmas time, when they get a little bit older and they say they want this for Christmas or their birthday. And you can say, yeah, okay, let's release our faith for that Barbie doll. Let's release our faith for that go-kart or whatever it is. So that's important. Absolutely.
Because I feel that when you teaching your kid about faith, is give them a vision about something that's bigger than them.
Yeah.
It grows them up and give them a vision about that it's not just about me. It's about what God wants for me. Then it teaches them about how God loved them.
Sure.
And God will love and supply their need.
Yeah.
And not always depend on mommy and daddy. You can depend on mommy and daddy, but there's a higher calling. That if mommy and daddy don't have the money, that God will still provide it for you. And if you instill that while they're little, it would be not hard as an adult to receive.
Yeah.
Because it's easy, because you know that when you was a little girl and you were scared, or you was a little boy, you were scared, that God came through for you.
Yeah, even what you're saying, it has to start with the parents. See, even as we're teaching the children, maybe we have to instill in them that, little Johnny, we believe God for such and such. And so this is why we're telling you, as you said, we're not saying we don't want our children to depend on us, absolutely, but it would be good to tell them who we depend on. We depend on God. So that would help in the training so that they start looking beyond us and looking at who we look at, which would be God.
But I was saying that, Pastor, because I think it's so important, because kids go to school every year. And we are in the internet symbolization world we are in. And it's good to start believing God that no hurt will come to you.
Absolutely.
Or no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and that you should lay hands on the sick and they shall prosper. In other words, I think they should be able to operate, because they're saying that school is different than when we grew up. It is so much open for all kind of opinions, and people are trying to stuff their opinion on you.
Sure.
When you have a value and a more when you little, then it said, my mommy said I can't do this, or my dad, no, this is not right. This don't feel right. This is not right. And they can be able to say, this is not right. The key to that, this is not right. See, when you don't have no opinion, no values, and you walk into an environment that's telling you everything that's all right, you be able to say, no, this is not right. This don't even look right. And so we have to instill in our kids right now for the purpose and the vision, because when they go to school, it's all doors open, which means every opinion, so it's good to instill that. So I think this part of the lesson about the faith and the purpose.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, because it definitely will prepare them. And you're right, we're in a time, and the scripture talked about that, and in these last days you're going to have all of these things going on, and it does almost seem like the standard has come down and there are no more limits. During our time of growing up, there were still restrictions, not even just within the home, there was restrictions within the land. Now we're kind of living like without laws, and that's very, very dangerous. you know, and where anything goes, accept anything. These are, you know, this is a new time, accept this, accept that. And you're absolutely right. If we train our children in that way, say, no, this is not right.
Because they'll be able to see this is not right. But if you don't have that opinion about this is not right, you will accept it, easily accept it, because it's like everybody else is doing it.
Sure.
And when everybody else is doing it, it's easy to sway with them because it seems like they right and you wrong. But then when you teach the kid about independent thinking, independent thinking is in other words, I believe this because I know it's right, not because of what you feel is right, not because of what society tells me is right. Independent thinking let you step out, not from what the world think of you, but based on what your God think of you. And that's another level than everybody else. We all got to look alike, we all got to sound alike, we all, no. We only look alike and we only sound alike based on the body of Christ. If you're not part of the body, I don't have to agree with you.
Sure.
And so that's where the independent thinking come in at.
Sure. And it takes courage and a boldness, and that's why it's so important that it begins in the home.
Yeah.
You know, and it kind of ties in with purpose. Let's kind of get into that a little bit. Let's just give a couple scriptures, then we're going to open up for Q&A. Let's go to Genesis, first chapter of Genesis. Now, we know that God has a purpose for every life, and now when we tie it in with the family, those purposes, they're going to go together with the purpose of that family. And I'm not going to get too much into that. I'm going to dig deeper in that on the Sunday messages. But the first chapter of Genesis, and this begins with the family, verse 26, it says, "And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, let them, that's very key, them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." Over all the earth, or take charge. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Now, I was stressing those things on purpose, male and female. God blessed them. In other words, God blessed man and woman with purpose. And that purpose was to be fruitful, to multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion. So in other words, we know it's the will of God that an individual has purpose, but it's also the will of God that family has purpose, because when he first put the family together with Adam and Eve, he gave them both purpose. Now, why is that important? Because it ties into Proverbs 22 and 6. Let's go to Proverbs 22 and 6. See, when you're talking about family and a husband and wife, both purposes has to be in order. See, God didn't give Adam a separate purpose from Eve. They both had the same purpose. Both purposes has to work for the family. Now, Proverbs 22 and 6, many of us know this by memory. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Now, there are other translations I looked up. One says, teach children how they should live. Another translation says, train children to live the right way. Another translation says, teach a youth about the way he should go. Another translation says, train the child concerning his way. Another translation says, teach a child to choose the right path. Another translation says, start children off on the right path. Another translation says, give instruction to a youth about his way. Now, with all of that said, if you really think about it, In order for you to do that, in order for the parent to train the child in the way they should go, there are at least two things that has to be established. Number one, the parent has to know their purpose. And then also number two, you also have to know what the purpose of that child is. See, because how can you give directions if you don't know the destination? See, because people used to, and I used to hear that scripture for years, train up a child in the way he should go, and how I was told and interpreted as, like, bring them up in church. You teach them God and they won't depart. Well, when I was growing up, I saw a lot of folks who were raised in church who left.
Come on.
So what was up with that? Is this scripture not true?
Amen.
So obviously, and being raised in church is vital, but obviously it goes much deeper than that. We're talking about one's destiny. We're talking about one's purpose. So you train the child up. That's why I gave all those other translations. Teach a youth about the way he should go, or train the child concerning his way. See, you have parents who make the mistake and say, well, I'm going to let them grow up and let them be what they want to be. No, that is not biblical.
Amen. Pastor, can you look at verse 3? I want you to look at verse 3 on 22, verse 3. And it said, prudent men forsake evil and hide himself, but a simple pass on not punish. This is showing you that a prudent man, meaning a sharp, wise man, foresee evil and will not do it. Whereas a simple man will compromise and let it go by.
Absolutely.
In other words, you don't even recognize the evil that's in your life. And this is what you're talking about, the family. Whereas as a parent, it's your job to forsake evil. Yes. You know there's evil in the world. You know there's people that don't like you or don't. You know there's a devil out there that's gonna try to kill, steal, and destroy your child. Your job is to train your child with the weapon of knowing there is a devil out there. Knowing that you are a child of God, knowing the skill and the weapon to do when evil come along, that you do not participate in that evil. You don't sit up here and play games. You don't play with no gun. You don't play with no dice. You don't sit up here and smoke with them. You don't drink with them. That's forsaking evil. In other words, you are training them now. When we said the training also too, we're not talking about career-wise. We're talking about training them in morals and training them in the things of God and training them how to fulfill their destiny and what God called them to be. But see, what a simple man do is let things go by. Simple man will say, you know what, I'm gonna let you make your own decision. And the Bible said when a simple man does that, you are punished, which means that you might not see it right now, but later on in life when they become an adult, you're going to reap that stuff. You're gonna, without the direction, you're going to reap them deciding for themselves. You're going to reap them deciding evil instead of good. You're going to reap all that stuff. And then the thing about this, then they become a burden to you. And a kid not supposed to be a burden to you. But when a child become a burden to you and become a sorrow to the mother and become a sorrow to the husband, it is not God's will that happen in the family. And so it's not a fulfillment of what God wants for you, because your child not supposed to be the child's supposed to be a blessing. It's an add-on thing in order to fulfill the future and things that's going on in our life. In other words, it's adding on your grandkids, adding on your daughter-in-law, adding on. It's like it should be a blessing, but when everything has been out of order, then what happened is that now it become a stronghold, and the family divided, and there's family issues. Because we didn't do what God told us to do. He said, you're going to get punished for this because you let it slip. You let it slip.
When we're saying punish, there are consequences for this. It's not like God is punishing. It's not that. But there are consequences. And as she said, when foundation is out of order, life going to be out of order. When the foundation is off, the rest, the house is going to be off. And that's why it's so important that when you train a child in the way they should go, but now in order for you to train them that way, you have to know what is their purpose. But on the same token, it goes back to what we said earlier, Parents have to know their purpose, because all purposes, and I'm just saying this because I'm going to really get into it maybe not, I don't know about this Sunday, but how the purposes tie in together, because that's how it was with Adam and Eve. God both gave them the same purpose to come together. Now that ties into that scripture. What does God say? What God concerning marriage? What God has joined together. What purposes God has joined together. Let no man separate. But see, now God ain't put all purposes together. I'm whetting your appetite for Sunday.
Yeah. But then also too, Pastor, when it says that he hides himself, this is one of the things that God tried to do with Adam. He tried to hide him from the other part of the life, because he foresaw. He said, I know if you go on the other side, you're going to mess up. And then my job is trying to hide you. And see, and people be they be throwing darts at parents that try to hide kids from certain things and saying, you're too strict on them. You don't let them go nowhere. You don't let them think for themselves. No, I'm trying to hide these things that I know there's evil included in there.
Because you know their destiny. See, the children, there are certain things, even as Christians, we should have never been exposed to. We learned that in Adam. When Adam messed up and he said he naked, and then God asked him, who told you that? You were never not supposed to know you were naked. So where'd you get that from? Where'd you get that thinking from? So it's the same thing. There are some things we're never to be exposed to. So that's not being strict or you trying to with your no. There are some things when you know the destiny of your child or even know the destiny of yourself. There are things I'm going to shield you from that. You're not supposed to see that.
This hiding, Pastor, this hiding also means hide my weakness.
Come on.
Hide your weakness. As a parent, you're not supposed to be showing your kids all your weakness.
Sure.
In other words, you seeing me laid out, drunk, seeing me not know how to pay my bills, seeing me with different kind of man, seeing me this is showing my weakness.
Right.
In other words, it's hiding my weakness. I'm not supposed to show you how weak I am. And the thing about a parent, you're supposed to show me how strong you are so you can be my superwoman or superman.
Now, since you're saying that, and we'll kind of put it to the front where everybody can understand. So what you're saying is, let's say in the family and you and I argue, we should not be arguing and cussing each other out in front of the children.
Right.
We could be having financial challenges. Our children should know that.
Yeah.
We should be hiding them from all of that.
Yeah. But see, that's what they're hiding. Said that the prudent man, wise man, you hide. It's not that they would not understand challenge, but this is adult problem. This is not a kid problem. It's an adult problem. And adults handle their business and not with the kids involved in it. This ain't a family issue. This is an adult issue. In other words, me and you got some issues that we got to deal with in order to protect our kids, that they would not feel vulnerable to the evil of the devil.
Absolutely.
Because the vulnerable state of mind would do like this, that, well, if you're not happy at home, you come to my home. If you're not happy with this money, your mom and dad not giving you, then I give you some money. See, it's the point of you keep on showing. I'm showing you my weakness, and the devil's sitting there waiting for you to just say, I'm tired, I'm scared, or whatever and stuff. He said, well, come on over here. You come on over here. You know, my mom and dad, our house is safe over here. Your family is all messed up and arguing and fighting all day long. Come on over here where we happy over here and all that stuff. And there's nothing but the devil trying to lure you away from structure, submitting to order. And you will sit there and want to run over there. And that's why that saying says it's greener on the other side, and the other side looks greener, or whatever.
Grass look green on the other side.
Right.
And you get there and see it's just as brown.
And just as brown.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what we'll do, we'll open up for Q&A now. I know we said a mouthful. So those of you, once again, if you have a question, those of you viewing us, fill out the information. We'll get it, and hopefully before the broadcast is over, we can answer your question. Amen. So come on down with questions, what we covered or anything. It doesn't really matter. All right. All right. All right, this question says, I have a friend who is stressed out Her husband seems to always put the kids on her. She wants to go out perhaps once a week to get refuge or just to have a me time, I guess time to themselves. Can you please share the importance of balance with the husband and wife relationship? For example, husbands should be able to assist in the chores or keeping the children. Now, I have said this on countless times on the marriage and family, especially when we're talking finances with husband working, wife working. And I've said this for years, that yes, the man is head of the household. We understand all of that. But if your wife is working, and you got her working because you need her to, you know, those chores and everything in that house has got to be split. See, in other words, I can't make the demands on you. If I got you out working too, you working. I can't make demands and get mad if I come home and the house not clean. If it's not clean and I come home, then I should clean it. Now, I can only make demands like that.
When I quit.
Right, if you're at home. If you're at home. And I'm able to adequately take care of you, then I come home, you've been at home all day, and there's no food and it's not clean.
Well, Pastor, let's redefine take care of me. What do take care of me mean? Do that mean buy me some shoes when I want some shoes, and because I'm not working, you don't think you have to buy me no shoes?
When a person is not working?
Yeah.
Why,
Because
what
the thing about this,
what people have, not sure what take care of me?
Okay, the thing about this is that, you know, when you're working, when two people are working, and especially when you used to doing stuff on your own, and then, okay, you said you want the house clean by start, then if I quit, I don't know if you can really take care of me.
Then that is a situation.
See, I think that's a fear. Like, can you actually take care of me?
But then it goes back to foundation. You know, I'm not going to get into all of that. Maybe they need to get from dating to the altar, volume 1 and 2. So call us and we can get that all out to you. I've said this for years now. It goes back to foundation. Obviously, it's all right if the woman wants to work, because you have many women who've been to school and they have careers. But now, it is the man's responsibility to be head. In other words, he's the provider. We understand God is. So now that's more or less saying that part of my qualification to be married is I am in the position now to not only be able to take care of myself, but I can take care of my wife. I can take care of her. See, and once again, I'm repeating what I've said for years. If I can't take care, if I'm barely taking care of me, I have no business walking down the altar. No business at all. If I'm barely taking care of me, and that's a survival mode from day to day, it ain't nowhere in the world. That is unscriptural, if there's such a word, not biblical and out of the order of God for me to be considering walking down that aisle. You know. So, and it works both ways, because remember, marriage is not about what you get, it's about what you give it. Now, it works both ways, not just from a financial standpoint, it also works from an emotional standpoint too.
But what if I'm from the old school?
Now, old school or right school?
Well,
because we don't want old nor new, we want right.
Okay.
So which one are you from?
I'm from the old school. I ain't gonna say the right school.
All right, the old school. Okay.
In other words, I have always seen my mother taking care of the kids, and my father have never taken care of the kids. Yeah. So I've been trained to think that only a woman's supposed to take care of the kid, and that men just work and pay the bills and let the woman take care of the kids. So that means that there's no such thing as me babysitting.
Right.
There's no such thing as me taking them
There's
to
no
school.
such thing as babysitting your own
Oh,
kid.
well, yeah, babysitting your own
That don't
right.
exist.
But I don't see myself doing those things because I never seen my father do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand what you
Mm-hmm.
have no problem with this in a sense of
Yeah,
this
sure.
is your job.
Well, the thing is, it goes right back to foundation. And sometimes we don't know these things till later on. That's like with anything else. We have to renew our minds. See, because a lot of things we were taught and grew up with, and this is nothing against our parents, they only did what they knew. And then sometimes you don't know something is wrong till you hear truth. Because you can be thinking for many years something was right because you saw your parents do it, their grandparents doing it, and so on, and then you find out later that what they did, and they didn't mean anything, but it was wrong. You know, so it's a matter of renewing our mind and changing that system. Because you never can make wrong right. Wrong will never be right. Uh-oh, I felt something on that one. Wrong will never be right. And it doesn't matter if I did it and my parents did it and my grandparents did it and my great. You can never make wrong right. And so when the person starts coming into the knowledge of God and the knowledge of things, they have to renew their minds and understand that. Because they're sure. I understand coming from that generation of where the men were the head and they worked, and that started years prior to that, you know, and the women were the housewives or the homemakers and different things like that, and that structure set up like that, and but that never made it right in that sense, because parenting is not just up to one, it's both, you know. Now, obviously, there can be different impartations from the father and mother, but the child needs both impartations. That's why when people, and thank God for his grace and mercy, and God will bless people, but is there something missing when a parent is missing? When one grows up without direction of a father or without direction and love of a mother? Yes. See, and people have been trying to downplay that, like, I didn't miss nothing. I didn't know who my father, I didn't miss nothing. That's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true. That is not true. Or I didn't know who my mother was and she didn't, I didn't miss nothing. That is not true.
And that's where we make up our new documents.
Sure.
We make up our new truth.
Yeah,
And we
you
say,
don't need no
you
song.
don't need nobody.
And the thing about that passes on the generation. Because, you know, if you grow up not knowing your father not involved, then you have some women who grow up like that. Well, I don't need the daddy, my baby daddy, to be involved. All this craziness.
Yeah.
And it just starts generation.
And you keep on tearing down what God has done.
Absolutely.
And God never intended for a half man, but a whole man.
Sure.
And you always have a half man where you're not complete. And you're always searching for answers, searching for hope, searching for vision. And God never designed for you to do that. That's why he made male and female.
Sure.
And have the purpose for the family to be healthy.
Yeah.
And
Equal authority, too. Yeah.
To be healthy in order to help somebody else.
Yeah.
If you're unhealthy, you're gonna mess up somebody else unhealthy.
Yeah.
You're gonna mess their life. You would easily walk away because if somebody walked away from you. It's easy for you to walk away when somebody walked away from you.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Yeah.
You know, because you said, well, I turned out all right. You know, I had that way of thinking, Pastor. I mean, the funny thing about this, when I was young, my mother was not married, and she had me by single. She was a single parent. And my mind was not thinking about marriage. I wanted a kid, but I didn't want the male. I want the kid, but I didn't want the male. I didn't want the male telling me how to raise my daughter. I didn't want the male telling me anything. So I wanted the daughter. I wanted that. But I thought I was all right because I didn't have the male figure in my life. And that's a wrong way of thinking. And you think it's normal. Because you say, I turned out all right, but I didn't turn out all right. I had issues. I had issues with men. And I didn't know I had issue with men because you can have sex with men, but you don't think you have issue with men.
So what you saying when some women, since you're bringing it like that, since you sense is one thing, I'm all right, it ain't nothing wrong with me, you're saying that's a lie.
That's a lie. That's a lie. You could be so deceived and think that you are all right, and you're really not all right. And the thing about this, your mind would say, because I got my own money, I got my own house, I got my this and that, I'm all right. No, baby, it was the grace of God that you got it, but you were still jacked up. And your mind was thinking the wrong way of thinking. I shouldn't have been thinking about having a kid without the man. I shouldn't have been thinking that way. But because I grew up in a house when my mother was provider and my mother did everything, my mindset was trained that way to start thinking that I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm not in jail. I'm not a prostitute. I'm not doing drugs. And so by these sins that we call sins, we think because we have not entered those things, we say, well, I'm all right. I'm better than you. But that don't make it all right. I'm not better than them. I'm still weak. I'm still vulnerable. I'm still jacked up in the head because I'm thinking about that because I made it through high school and I made it through college and now I got 10 kids by 10 different men. I'm not all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Because see, for us even to ever say that's okay and you're all right, you didn't need it, then that messes up the foundation of God. See, for any of us to ever say, I didn't need my mama, or I didn't need my daddy, then you trying to almost say, well, God, you didn't really know what you were doing. It's not all right. And there will be issues. There's not one person I've never talked to, and like I said, a lot of folks lie and they hide and be in denial, mental denial, you know, until they really get deliverance and they realize, man, I am jacked up. I am angry at my mother for all these years. Yeah, I am angry because my daddy wasn't there. Man, now we sounding like a TV show, huh? Well, we are on TV, right? I guess we. All right. Well, okay. Let's ask this one. So we make sure we answer that one. Okay, we'll go to next. Come on.
All right. I have one. Depending on how.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is pertaining to kids. Kind of going back to what you're talking about, but I've always had this question. I think I kind of know, but I just want to know your opinions. But with kids, and you teach your kids about faith, and say if your kid, it could be sports, or it could be a test, or anything to where you're not guaranteed a win or something positive to happen. So, you know, it's obviously to teach that we win and everything, you know, by faith, and that's what we're designed to do. But say if they try for a team and they didn't make it, and they obviously believe for it and they believe they can do it, or they, you know, the best player, but they didn't get picked. How do you, I guess, deal with that aspect of the disappointment? I mean, obviously, you know, consider it nurturing, but on the spiritual, what would be your opinion?
Yeah. With the child, if it's sports or whatever it is, you just keep encouraging them. Say, okay, all right, we gonna get this. We still got this. It ain't over. You know, so they didn't pick me for the Bulls. All right, no problem. I'm going to Golden State. You know, and that's with anything. Just like how, as adults, how we deal with things we were in faith for, and then it didn't turn out the way we thought. And then sometimes we ask God, Lord, what happened here in this area? And then God can reveal things to us, say, okay. Maybe God will say you weren't in the faith. You know, you're just kind of hoping and it's just that. Or God can say, listen, you were, but you were supposed to have been in this position, but the individual didn't obey, so you still stay in faith, or different things like that, you know. But it's always still encouragement that we want, that our victory is not based on whether I got picked for that particular team or got this particular thing, you know.
And then one of the things you encourage your kid, because kids can feel the pressure of the parents being disappointing in them. And you know, you're real sure, I'm not disappointing you. You know, we got this.
Yeah.
And you just continue to tell them, we got this. That me and you are in this together. We got this. In other words, it's teaching them that no, I'm not going to walk away from you if you don't get anything. Because a lot of kids feel the pressure, like, oh, you don't like me no more because I'm not the, I give a very good example, like, Phil, you a singer, and then Taylor Mike can't sing. And then, seriously. And then she'll try to go audition for something, and then everybody say, well, you did really sing, you can't sing. No, don't put that pressure on him, because the pastor went through that with his kids.
Yeah, but you know what? But then that goes back into what we kind of talked about earlier. Let's say, for that example, if Taylor can't sing, obviously that ain't her purpose to be singing. So I ain't gonna be leading her to the opera trying to sing. So that'll kind of solve that,
Question number 2. So now, I'm not saying that this is an issue, but I always like to hear the other side. Now we talk about men being husbands and wives being wives. Obviously, if you're not able to take care of your wife fully, then you should be a husband. Got it. Now what? Now maybe in 1960 or 1940, the women in the workforce is different.
Mm-hmm.
So, women are more independent now. Now, a lot of times, and I'll just say baggage just for baggage, women may come with more baggage than men. I'm saying this is my issue.
Sure.
So what if you have a man that can definitely, you can take care of a woman, not saying that she has zero or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you have something if you're of age. And you can sustain that, but then you get to after the altar, you go on honeymoon, be like, hey, man, I got $65,000 worth of debt that I need to pay tomorrow. So obviously, you can be in favor and be like, hey, I got this, we got this. Then you learn how to say, hey, this is not all the information that I knew before.
Exactly, right.
So can you expect, I guess this is the question, can you expect more out of, well, I'll just say housework, just because we're talking about housework. It could be anything. Bills, saying I'm taking care of all the bills, but if I come home and you ain't cleaned up,
right.
even though we both working,
Yeah.
I expect you to do it for something.
Yeah. Okay. Two things with that. I know sometimes people don't want to get into this, but part of marital counsel, or even before, or if you get engaged, no one should ever get married without knowing the financial status of the other. And that includes assets and debts. You should not be marrying somebody that, I'm not saying you know it right down to the penny, but you should have a real good idea of the financial portfolio of the person you about to marry. I know some people who do counseling who say, listen, preachers who do counseling, before y'all get married, let's bring these credit reports together. Because you need, those are things you need to know with your finances. See, because if you, and I understand things can happen as a result that can affect your credit, you lose your job, this, a certain thing. But if you have a long history of just negligence and just bad stewardship, then you're going to bring that into the marriage. Sometimes people be thinking that marriage means automatic change. That's not true. If I'm a bad steward single, and if I don't change that set point within me, I'm going to be a bad steward as a married person. If I'm a lazy single person, and if I don't change that set point inside me, I'm going to be a lazy married person. See, sometimes people think that. I've heard this for years. A person, they need to, they'll do better with their money if they got out on their own and had to pay bills. That's a lie. If you don't change that set point in you, having your own is not going to force you to be responsible. That's not true. Not true. Not true. And people think that, if I'm forced to be, now I'm going to do right. No, you're not. You might pay your rent for the first 2-3 months, but you're going to always go back to that set point that's in you.
Go ahead, Pastor. Go ahead.
So now, as far as when you get married, you should have an idea of the financial status of your potential spouse, or who you engaged with.
Then what if you did not get that? Then the person continue to work because then they got to pay their own bills.
Well, if you did not do that, now remember, now anything we destroy for lack of knowledge, and what you didn't know and you got married anyway, then this stuff come out. Now you got to deal with it. That's just how it goes. You know, even the law tell you that ignorance is no excuse. Because you didn't know you're supposed to stop at the red and you turned and got a ticket. You can't say, officer, I didn't know. Ignorance is not an excuse. It don't let you off. So it's the same thing. You know, if you didn't know and you find you get in, you married to the person and realize they got $300,000 school debt,
Come on, Pastor.
or their credit is 400,
Go ahead, Pastor. Go ahead.
or God forbid they paying child support and you didn't know.
Come on, Pastor.
Child support, I didn't know you had some kids. Now if you didn't find out any of that, tough tamale. You got to deal with it now. And that's just how it goes, you know. So you kind of, you know, some of those things you find out, or you should find out, and then some people, you know, and that could be an issue, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, as the question was said, you know, I could have this amount of money, hey, I can take care of myself and take care of a spouse, but not if she got $1 million worth of debt. You know, so those are things that has to be addressed. And then sometimes some people maybe like, okay, you know, we're gonna get married, but we need to kind of, if debt is a big issue, let's work some of this debt off first before we say I do. See, because that gets into other issues. Have I even settled that issue with me while I'm in such overhead over my own debt? Because there's an imbalance with that.
Well, then what if I cannot hold myself?
Well, you know, if you can't, that's all right. You don't need to be married.
That's right. Go ahead, Pastor.
I always tell people this. If you are still selfish, that's all right. Don't get married. You know, if you can't hold, if you like, listen, I want to go whenever I want to go, when I want to go, and if I see something in the store I want to buy, help yourself, my brother. I'm all for you, my sister, but you are not ready to get married. Ain't nothing wrong with that. If you into you, and hey, don't you be getting
I'm
married.
not talking about hold myself. I'm saying hold myself sexually. I just want to go and get married because I can't.
Oh, no, well, you didn't say that. I thought we were on the subject. Well, you
I
changed.
thought you were talking about hold. Okay, we got it.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, did we answer all of that last question? Okay, we did? Okay. All right. Let's read this one, then we'll get to the next one. I am 19 years old. I love God, but I'm still trying to figure out my relationship with Him. I assume with God, or I don't know. I know it's wrong to have sex until marriage, but I recently gave up my virginity. My parents don't know. How can I share it with them without them getting mad? That ain't the issue on whether they get mad. They would probably, like any good parent not knowing, would be hurt and disappointed. That's a normal emotion. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. Because, you know, to be honest, whether it's sex or anything else, and you tell your parents, I expect them to be disappointed.
Yeah, that's right.
And to be hurt. Because then that shows how much they care about me. I don't want my parent, if I've told them, you know, if I've done something I shouldn't have did, and they just say, all right, congratulations. What?
Come on, Pastor.
No. So that, you can't get around that. But a loving parent, you talk to them, sure, they'll be disappointed and hurt and whatever, and that's normal. That's totally normal. But at 19 years old, that's young. You need to talk to them. Now, this person say they love God, I'm still trying to figure out my relationship with Him. Well, if you love God, ask God to help you. If you're not ready to get married, ain't no more relationship. Once again, dating before the altar. Unless you're ready to be married, You have no business being anybody's girlfriend or boyfriend.
And see what happened too, Pastor. It opened that door for not trusting. And when you open that door for not trusting, it's kind of hard not to trust God. And people they don't see it together, but once you have sex with somebody and you're not married to them, and then they leave you.
The person leaves.
The person leave you, or they don't want to have nothing to do with you. And then you get disappointed and you gave up something so precious. And then now you talk about a God and you like, how can I receive this God when the person that I thought loved me or cared anything about me walked away from me? See, then it opened that door for disappointment and heartaches and pains and not trusting people, not trusting them, because see, that's where we try to hide you from that and say don't do it,
Right.
but then you do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because the pressure of life tell you that you are a certain age and say, well, you should do something by now. You know, you should be doing something by now. And so when you got that pressure on you, it's kind of hard. If you didn't have no relationship before God before 19, it's kind of hard now once you get disappointed. And then it would take you to make an effort to want to be with God.
Yeah.
On purpose, because that disappointment, that heartache, that pain, that distrust, all that plays a role, and that's why we tell you don't have sex before marriage.
Yeah, but I advise, especially if there's a good relationship with the person and the parent, you just tell them. It ain't no way, how do you share it? You just tell them. You know, I did such and such, and then hopefully you're saying it in a way that obviously you shouldn't have did it. You made the mistake, and you need to assure them that you don't plan on doing it again.
Amen.
And they can help you with that. You know, parents can help you in that area, and that's why, like she just said, you know, don't put yourself in certain positions. You know, we've been preaching this for years, and this doesn't just go for teenagers, because we get backlash from 40 and 50-year-olds.
Come on.
You know, you tell me I can't have no boyfriend. No, we ain't say, how am I going to get married if I can't date? Are you ready to get married? If you ain't ready to get married tonight, then be quiet.
Come on.
That don't matter whether you're 19 or 62. You know, but you don't put yourself in that position. And that's what...
The funny thing about that said, people said, well, I'm not ready to get married yet. But then you should be getting ready to have sex. You should, it's like, I just want to see, how much sin do you need? And people do 10-year relationship, how much sin do you need? And you put together for 5 years, how much sin do you need?
Well,
especially if you don't think this person qualifies, stop having sex. If you don't think this person gonna marry you, why continue to have sex with them? If you think this person's not a husband-like, well then why be with them?
yeah.
It's like it don't make no sense. I mean, if you don't see no future with them, the only reason, now this is a common denominator. The only reason you hook up with anybody because they taking you to your future. If they not taking you nowhere, don't hook up with them. That's the only way you hook up. In other words, you got something that I want and I'm going with you. But if they not taking you nowhere, why hook up with them at all? That's a common denominator.
Well,
this ain't got nothing to do with it. It's anybody. The same thing about how we pick our churches and how we pick our leaders. Because they're taking us somewhere. They're taking you somewhere. They're taking you where faith is taking you to, where vision and what I couldn't see years ago. My leader's showing me that I can see myself in the house. My leader's showing me I can see somebody taking me somewhere. But when you hook up with a loser, somebody ain't going nowhere, and you know the track record of them, and you still hanging out with them, and you ain't getting nothing out of the relationship but getting heartaches and pain, then you don't want to go nowhere. Yeah. This is a common denominator. This ain't got nothing to do with boyfriend and girlfriend. Everybody you hook up in life is taking you somewhere. Yeah. And so when you say, well, I don't think I'm ready for marriage, well, stop having sex. It's so simple to me. Stop it. Just stop.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you don't think especially if you've been with somebody for a long time, and you still say, I don't think I'm ready. Well, why you there? Really, it's always said this, who the dummy? Me or you?
Yeah. Yeah.
We got somebody a dummy right here.
Glory to God.
Well, but like I said, the only thing I can give people is structure. And from
Yeah, but
from
I thought I needed to show
No.
that, throw that in there.
Yeah, I
for people
understand.
People that are always
Yeah.
saying like, I'm just not ready. I don't know if he the one. If he not the one, then what am I doing?
You know what?
If he not the one and she not the one, what am I doing? I'm wasting my time.
Well, now we can.
I could. The one was right across the street and I missed up
But
on
you know
him.
what? You know what? You know why you missed it? Because maybe you ain't the one.
Say it. Come on, man. Say it.
You don't know the one till you become the one.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of this.
Yeah. But I have to say that because people hook up with people because of stupid reasons. And then you waste all that time for your stupid reason.
Say it.
And the thing about this, you are hooking up with anybody. That's what God ordained partnership. He ordained partnership. Partnership is somebody that got something you want. He ordained that. So in other words, that's an anointing in that. But any anointing is stupid.
Yeah.
There's no anointing in dumb.
Yeah.
There's no anointing in people that's wasting time. So in other words, that's how you find your friends or your levels of where you want to go in life. Because I'm hooking up with somebody that got something, that got my answer. Not wasting time. We've been together for 10 years. Having sex for 10 years.
But see,
and we still have not measured up like, I don't know if we're going to have.
But you know what? But I don't know what other way to be. The problem is you. Ain't no sense in blaming anybody else. You the problem. See, when you together, there are certain things you're not going to do. You're not going to attract. See, we see a lot of stupidity going around because it begins with me. If I keep attracting stupidity because there's a magnet of stupidity on me. Everything begins with you. You. When you together, hey, there's certain things you're not going to do. Certain attractions you're not going to be. It's just not going to happen. You know, nobody can't spin no game on you when you know you. You know, and that's where it all starts at. It starts with you. Now, people do these different reasons because they got issues themselves. You know, somebody sit up there being with somebody for so many years and ain't went nowhere. Because that's you. There ain't no sense in you blaming him or her. It's you. Because if you together, you won't allow that. If you together, you won't allow anybody that can drag you. When you together, you don't attract baggage. You know, that's why sometimes it takes time to get you together. Sometimes it takes people 50 years to get you together. See, when people always say, I don't know why I keep attracting these certain types, it's quite easy. That's who you are. That's who you are. Now, I know our egos don't want to say, I'm not like that. I don't know why they keep coming. That's who you are.
Go ahead, Pastor. Go ahead.
You're going to attract you.
Go ahead.
Now, you know, you say that opposite attract. No, they don't. What I've said for years, opposite is an explosion.
Yeah.
You put negative and positive together, boom.
Yeah.
Now, we can have differences that can complement, but there's always got to be a common denominator.
Oh, yeah.
But you're going to always attract you, if that's what you're doing. You know, now if you want to attract greatness, then you work on yourself till you become great. You want to attract a self-secure man, then you become a self-secure woman. You want to attract somebody with high self-esteem, then you become somebody with good self-esteem. Because it all starts with you. You know, and that's why people do different things, because they got issues within themselves trying to figure stuff out.
Say it, Pastor. Go ahead.
Come on down.
Right, man, God. So piggyback on what you and Pastor Moore were talking about the morals. So a parent that, like, you raise your kids as young to believe in God, have faith, and you know they understand that to a point where, you know, as they grew up in church. But then when they get older and they start fading from that, will the parent be is a parent of failure, that even though you raise your kid with good moral and you see that, but then when they get to that age where they start thinking they lead their own life and they fade away from the life that you've given them, does that make you a failure, or does that make that they never received it, that you raised them?
One of the things we have to always remember that God gave us all is free will. And part of that free will is you can make your own decisions. Because we don't have authority over nobody's will. You know. So a person, they can make their own decisions for whatever reason. And that doesn't make, and I remember, this has obviously been probably 20 some years ago. I used to believe that because I heard somebody say that how your child turned out is your report card as a parent. And I used to believe that. Because it sounded like, oh yeah, that's right. But that's not true. And I'll say it, I always say it when questions like this come up, I give credit to Bishop Ira Van Hilliard. Because I was going through some years back about some things, and he said it like this. He said, well, if that was true, then I guess God is not a good parent. Because Adam did what he did. So does that make God a bad parent? No. So you can train your children this or that and whatever, but ultimately, they still make the decisions. And if they choose to make bad decisions and all of that, that's on them. You know, and to be honest, when you know, and none of us have been perfect or did this or that, but certain things you know, you've embedded and trained a child, whatever, and they make bad decisions, go well, you like, that ain't on me, that's on you. You know, so that's not true, that a bad parent, if you've done your part and for whatever reason, they start making their own decisions and bad decisions and that kind of thing.
Now, my second question I want to ask you about faith. Like, okay, I'm in faith for my home, for my house. Now, when you in faith, say like if you come into, let's say, a relationship or engagement or something like that, do that person need to come in faith with you, with your house, if you planning to be married, or it's just something that you allow yourself to be in and not, share that? Because sometimes, some things you just can't tell everybody right now, especially when you're in faith. You want to keep your level up. So would that be a good thing, or would that be bad?
What, somebody that you engaged to?
Yeah.
Oh, they should know.
They should know.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. If you've gotten to that point where you engaged to somebody, yeah, they should pretty enough know. Hey, I'm in faith for this house.
Because some people can be faith killers, like we said. I might not be there, and they might not be there, but you know you there.
The person you engaged to?
Yeah.
If they ain't there, I think the engagement is going to be off or postponed. Remember, the scripture says, do not be unequally yoked together with non-believers. And we understand that. But there's another translation that says, don't be mismated with those of a different alliance. And sometimes that can be of different levels of faith. See, that can be a problem, that my level of faith is here, and then we engage, and I can't tell you because your faith ain't there.
Glory to God.
See, that's a signal right there that, we need to postpone this engagement or something, because just say if we get married and then a challenge happens and then my faith and yours ain't, that can be a real problem. You know, say a financial challenge happens in the family, and my faith is like, you know what? We need to sow this $1,000 seed. And he or she be like, $1,000? Are you crazy? You better get a second job. That can be a problem. So if a potential person who, and that works together with someone you're dating, where you eventually know where they at spiritually.
The thing about this, if you don't trust the
Yeah.
person to tell them what you're in faith for, then you're not going to trust them when you get married.
No.
So you're thinking that you have to, if you don't trust them now, then don't take it no further.
No.
Because if you're afraid they are faith killers or somebody trying to destiny destroyer, then why are you with them? Because it don't make no sense. You wasting time with them. If you believe in God for your family and for your son and your daughter and your household, that they got a family, their sons and daughters in the household, and you trying to blend it together and stuff, and you see that it's not working, don't go there.
Yeah.
Don't think that God gonna work it out. Because God gave you common sense in this area where you should know who you marry. You know, if y'all can't agree on the popsicle, what make they gonna bring the popsicle into marriage, and then they're gonna say, well, I ain't never said I like this. You never heard me say I want this. And you saying like, I thought you did. No, you didn't hear me say that. And so you gotta divide your emotions, your feelings, your sexual thing for what you really need. That's the difference. Because when you get emotionally tied with somebody, you can't see. And so but if you want something that's good for you, you're gonna have to separate that.
Yeah.
It's two separate things. You know, so if you don't trust that person, don't go there.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
Two things I always say. If most people, and there's no age on this, if you can get past loneliness and hormones, you ain't racing to the altar. If you overcome that and get past that, and then it's not taking away your desire to want to be married, but if you can master that, master your hormones and loneliness, you are not racing to the altar. But those are two areas most people, I'm just lonely. And then you get married. Or your hormones racing. You get married. You can master those two, you're not racing to the altar. Those are two things you can master. If you master that, you ain't racing. And then you like, I'm definitely waiting on the Lord.
Yes, Lord. Glory to God.
Now you got to be the master of those, because if you don't, then the enemy will always play you with that. See, when you get lonely, then you're looking at everybody else with somebody around the holiday time.
Come on back.
And you ain't got nobody. And you're lonely. And the devil, remember, the devil is a flesh devil. And what do I mean he's a flesh devil? He operates in the flesh. Because he see you. He don't know your thoughts. He's not omniscient. He's not all-knowing. But he know what you do. He can see, just like us. He's a flesh devil. He see you lonely for somebody. Okay, I know how to get them. I'm going to send Raheem.
Come on.
And Raheem can look the part.
Come on, Pastor.
You know, he in sheep's clothing, but he's a ravening wolf. Likewise, he can send Rachel,
Come on.
who looks like, an angel,
My God. Jesus' name.
but is a devil in disguise. You know, so he's a flesh devil. He know when you're lonely, because you say it, and you act like it. He see it. He know when your hormones are flat, because he see it. You say it, you act like it, you do stuff, he know it. And that's how he set you up. But if you can master those two things with anybody, you know, you ain't be racing to the altar.
That's right. Go ahead.
Amen.
Go ahead. Okay, that's right.
So my question is, kind of
regards to what Brother Bill was talking about, but not so much as a marriage relationship, but as a parent-child relationship. And my question is in regards, because I know you spoke before on, like, you don't stop parenting a child once they turn 18 or once they turn 21. But what if you are a parent of an older child, let's say who's over 21, and let's say it's a money issue where the child is, their set point, even though they weren't raised like that, their current set point isn't being responsible financially. And let's say that the child has children, or maybe the child doesn't have children, but let's say they do. As a parent, do you then, because you know their set point is off, you know they have kids, as a grandparent, do you step in because you know that your child is not where they're supposed to be in, as, you know?
When you say step in like what?
Step in like, let's say, the grandchildren have fees for school, and the child, you know, their child isn't doing what they're supposed to do, and you're like, I don't want my grandchildren not to be able to do certain things, so I'm gonna step in and I'll pay the fees. I won't give the parent the money, but I'll pay the fees myself. Do you step in that regards, or do you just?
Well, assuming that you've tried to talk to your adult child about their responsibilities and say, hey, listen, such and such, and they just still do things, that's an issue where, especially when it concerns money, and this goes, I don't want to, well, I was going to say not sound spiritual, but I got to stay that way. When you're a Christian, you need to hear God on that. See, because sometimes the love in you as a grandparent, if your child is not being responsible, and then you see your grandchild with the same clothes on and they not whatever, or like I say, school fees, you want to just step in and do it. But you have to hear God on that. Now, I have firsthand experience, not necessarily in that degree, but in other areas concerning family, where you have to hear God on, Lord, what do I do about this?
Yes,
Because sometimes your emotions can play a part, and you just do something, and God didn't endorse it, and you can make situations worse. You got to hear God. If God say do it, then you do it. Then you have to also be willing, and it's not taking away your love. God will say, don't touch it. Then you don't touch it. Now, I know sometimes that can be hard for emotions. And trust me, I've learned the hard way on a couple instances where I did some things some years ago with close family, and that thing kind of messed my finances up for half a year. I will never, with a capital N, do that again. Now, I can't blame God on it because I didn't inquire of the Lord about it. I just did it out of emotion. You know, so you don't do that. You know, I would advise any Christian to hear God, and you try to talk to your child, obviously, of being responsible, and you have a lot of them like that who just not. And then you have some of them do that because they can get away with it, because they know grandma gonna cover all the time. So a lot of them do that because they got that assurance. Well, if I don't do it, I know that grandparents gonna take care of it, or Uncle Bob, or my sister, or my brother. You know, but a situation like that, and sure, your heart feels something, but I advise anybody, trust me on this, hear God on it. Lord, what do you want me to do about this?
So, and how would you advise someone to, how would they deal with those emotions? Especially, let's say if they come from a large family and you have people looking at them and be like, you see those babies home, you see they going through stuff, you see how, because it's different when you have the pressure of people.
Listen to what I'm saying. I was the reverend and the pastor, known in this city, who saw a family member in need. This was known publicly. So I understand the pressure. And as a result, some people blasted me on Facebook. So I understand the pressure. But never will I do that again. You got to resist that. You know, you got to hear God on it. See, because when we talk about even stewardship, we always think of give it and say, you always want to be a good steward concerning give. Like, Lord, what are you saying about this? And yeah, and see, people could always assume because you got it, you're supposed to. Who said that? That's not in the Bible. And I know it goes back to how a lot of us were raised. You know, grandma, she'd give you the stockings off her leg. Did God ever tell her to do that? I know she was loving person and all of that. And let anybody stay. Let your friends stay at their house. All that. I had a great grandmother like that. See, we could do a lot of things, but we were in error.
And really what the pastor is really saying, you could be an enabler.
Absolutely.
I'm enabling you to stay weak. I'm enabling you not to step up to the game. You know, these are your kids. Your responsibility. The grandmother, all she do is enjoy. If she want to give something, that's something different, but that's your responsibility. Your kids are your responsibility, and I know that we don't want to hear that in 2000 or whatever, because it seems like the grandparents are raising the kids now. But that is not the way it's supposed to be. I can't help you stay weak.
Come on.
I can't help, because in other words, see, if your problem is not my problem, that's your problem. My problem is my problem, and your problem is your problem. But what we do is, because of pressure, what people look at us and saying we should do stuff and all that stuff.
And you could have families very close. I remember counseling a married couple. This was some years ago. I counseled them before marrying them. And one of the questions in both families, especially the woman, was very, very close to her family. And I was explaining to them that, you know, all relationships, they are redefined, you know. And the question came up because the woman was so, this is, you know, an older woman was used to doing things for her family members, brothers, sisters, and all of that. Even if they would mess up stuff, she was just so used to doing that. And I said, and I asked her, I said, listen, now you're going to be married. Now, if your brother, your sister, we ain't talking about they lose their job or different, but if they just mess up money, just keep blowing it, you gonna still help them? I think so. That's a problem.
Yes, Lord.
And I understand the closeness of families. I understand that. I was raised close. I understand all of that. But as she said, you can become an enabler to someone's continued bondage. See, we always think enabler as alcohol and drugs, but it goes more than that. You know, you can keep helping people stay in bondage because your emotions rise higher than that. Well, I don't want to see my child. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see. I got your emotions, and the devil will work them emotions. They'll work your emotions so bad. Well, you become good for nobody. Are y'all hearing me on this? I know what I'm talking about. You know, so you have to resist those things and really hear God on it. Because if you don't, you can make a serious mistake, and then you can keep, as she said, enabling even your family members.
As a Christian, you should not have fear in any situation. So how can you, I'm not saying put your own fear, but what if you have a child that, you know, they want to try lobster? So like, I want to jump out the plane, I want to, you know, swim with sharks. You know, like, you don't want to, you know, because things that I want to do, you know, I wasn't afraid to do, it's just like, no, you're not going to do that. So how, is that a notion of fear? Are you telling your kids, I mean now, let's say they want someone to try like their professional diver, like they could probably make it. You know, they're not going to like swim next to them. But how can you not put fear in them, but then like, don't do that? Like, how can you put that balance if they just do it for fun? Like, you know, you jump out of the airplane, it's like, it's just fun.
Well,
Don't do it.
no. The thing sometimes, without really getting in a psychological issue, there is something, what makes a person want to do these possibly dangerous things? See, it has nothing to do with whether you have fear or not. It can be possibly dangerous to bungee jump from an airplane. You know, and you do have some people like that. You know, who I like that rush. What does that even mean? What's missing in your life that you have a desire for something that's possibly dangerous, to get a fulfillment out of doing something that's just borderline dangerous? And some people like that rush like that because there's some things that's missing.
Like driving real fast on a crowded street.
You know, or some people just like being on that edge, just to
See
you
if I
know,
can do it.
yeah. Or some people find it funny, like, you know what, boy, they was shooting right by me, boy, and them bullets just missed me, and laughing. What? You know, that's something in that, you know.
The thing about this, it's not creating fear and saying you cannot do nothing, but it's a season and a time for everything. You would not put your 2-year-old behind a car, wheel driving, and say, well, they always want to drive, but they drive their little car in the house, and they want to see can they drive their car now. You know, that's so silly. You know, but you have to. I mean, it's an adventurous side of things. You can adventure-size some stuff, but you have to use your wisdom too. You know, I know you can get hit by a car just walking down the street. We understand that. But then why get in front of the car while it's driving?
Yeah.
It's you know that's stupid.
Yeah.
But somebody would say, I just want to see if they're gonna hit me or not. I just want to see. That's so silly. You know, you got to use your senses to say, okay, then, let's say, get your research. I mean, even the most healthiest people die.
Sure.
So it's not the fact that is your faith is at large or people don't want you to do anything. It's just on my watch.
And then you have to even ask yourself, why do I really want to do this? See, it's got to be more than, because it's fun. It's fun smoking crack to some people.
Because I think we get too extreme for people.
I'm sorry. I know.
It's just that I just want to try something. I just want to try something.
I mean, like I say, the person who tried crack, they dead now.
Or out of their mind.
Yeah. Because they just wanted to try.
They just want to try. No hook.
Now, I know that sounds like, well, that ain't me. Trust me. I got family people and close people. Some of us all started years ago with just drinking alcohol and smoking reefer.
Yeah.
I just got out of it. And some of them said, well, let me try something else. And some of them, here we are 35 years later, still hasn't recovered. So you got to ask yourself, why do I want to do this? Other than, because I just want to. I just want to try it. And if you don't have a real good reason other than I just want to try it, I know, I feel people's brain hurting. Somebody's brain hurting.
I think we just went too far.
We give it too far. All right, let's calm down. We're going to get ready to wrap this up soon.
Okay, you was talking about enabling your children. Okay, now, Pettis, Andrew was talking about it. I have children, teenagers. So I have grandchildren that are teenagers. Now, the mother don't ask, but what happens when the children calls you and asks, and I say, did your mama put you up to this? And they're like, no. They're like, no, Nana, I asked you because I want you to do it for me. So what would you actually
by enabling your child by helping the grandchildren?
If the grandchild call you, the respectful thing to do is call the parent. That's the respectful thing.
That's right, Pastor.
You know, because I would not have wanted my parents or her parents doing something with our children without our consent. So that would be the respectful thing to do. You know, if your grandchild called and said, "Grandma, I want you to buy me a car." Okay, let's see what your parents say. I mean, really. You gonna buy your grandchild a car and they drive up, the parents don't even know. So that would be, and if they say that's all right, oh, I feel something with that one too. They're just, see, you must see how much stuff is just out of order. I ain't talking about you, you know what I mean. No, that would be the respectful thing. And if they say, okay, fine. You know, and then sometimes you can have relationships where you can know your children, where your children don't mind. You know, you can have your grown children, they applaud it. Oh, you bought Junior a bike? you just have it delivered, they happy. You know, that's a different type. If you got that relationship like that, that's something different. But generally, if they call and say, okay, what your parents say? I remember years ago, somebody say years ago. I used to have a godmother. Gosh, is Rose? You don't remember Mrs. Zona Maker? Yeah, yes you do, of course. Rose, a couple people up. She was my godmother, and I'm sure I was probably about 10, no more than that at the time. And she gave me some money, probably a few dollars, whatever. And then I gave it to my mother or something. And I asked my mother, can I have the money, son? And she said, no, not now. And what'd I do? Call my godmother up. And said, my mom wouldn't give me the money. And then she talked to my mother, and you all can imagine what happened to me after that conversation. Ouch! Woo! For about a couple of days. So I said that to say, if that happened, talk with the parents.
And the last question I have is, I have like personal relations as well as coworkers, whereas you try to tell them something and they feel that they know everything. How do you actually respond to people when they see no wrong, but you see the wrong, but then they turn around and make it seem like you are always wrong because you're correcting?
You saying a coworker?
Coworker as well as personal relations.
Okay. People have their views, and if they think they're right and they sticking with it, it's not really too much you can do on that. You know, you can tell a person, even though you really could believe in your heart what you're saying is true, and what you're saying could really be true. But if that other person don't believe that and they think what they're saying is true, there ain't no sense in arguing and debating over it. You know, say, well, you know, we just disagree on that, and just kind of leave it. You know, because you don't want to spend time where it becomes an argument.
Come on.
You know, because if I think I'm right, I ain't budging. You know, you know at a certain point with a person, they just think they think and they could be wrong, but they just think they're right. And it's kind of like, okay, I'll let it go. Maybe I'll come back another day on that. You know, so there's really nothing you can do on that part, if that's the case.
Amen.
All right? Okay. I think we're going to wrap it up. Pastor Laura, any closing comments before we go? It's been fun. Once again, we made the announcements. Coming August the 12th, 2017. That's a wrap 2.0. So obviously, we'll be talking, doing Q&A, talking things like this, success of your business, just different things in general. It's going to be a fun day. That's August 12th, Saturday, 12 noon. at the beautiful Lawndale Christian Health Center, 3750 West Ogden on the 4th floor, right here in the great city of Chicago. So we look forward to that. God bless every heart. This has been Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. We'll see you next time.